Welcome back, my dear friends, explorers of history, seekers of treasures, and admirers of the smallest objects that can carry the heaviest weight of meaning. Today we step into the extraordinary journey of the Liberty 1-cent Lincoln penny from the year 1978, a coin that in its simplest form was created as just 1 cent to pass through the hands of millions of Americans in their daily lives, but with time, patience, history, and the fascinating world of numismatics, this coin has transformed into a treasure that has become highly sought after by collectors all around the world, and in some extraordinary cases has been valued in the market at an astonishing $49.7 million, making it one of the most fascinating coins in American history and a subject that deserves to be told in great depth, detail, and passion. The Lincoln penny has a special place in the hearts of collectors and historians. It is a coin that has been part of everyday life in the United States since 1909. When it was first introduced to commemorate the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse side of the coin proudly carries the enduring portrait of Abraham Lincoln with the inscriptions "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date. The reverse design in 1978 still featured the Lincoln Memorial, which had been introduced in 1959 to replace the earlier Wheatears design created by Frank Gasparo. This memorial design remained until 2008, making the 1978 penny part of a long chapter of American coinage history. The 1978 Lincoln cent was struck in both Philadelphia and Denver mints, with no mint mark for Philadelphia and a mint mark for Denver. Billions of these coins were minted and most entered circulation to be used for decades in ordinary transactions, yet even among billions there exist certain coins with unique stories, minting errors, rare variations, immaculate preservation, and historical significance that elevate their value far beyond face value and transform them into treasures worth fortunes. The composition of the 1978 penny was primarily 95% copper with 5% zinc and tin, a composition that collectors love because it gives these older pennies their rich red or reddish-brown appearance. The weight was 3.1 grams before the later change to copper-plated zinc in 1982. This difference in composition also plays a role in how collectors and investors view the coin, as the older copper cents are far more desirable for their quality and durability, and when preserved in mint state with full luster, a 1978 penny can already command prices much higher than face value. But what makes the 1978 penny legendary in the world of coin collecting is not just its standard issue, it is the extraordinary rarities that have been discovered. Errors such as doubled die obverse, where the lettering Liberty, or the date itself appears doubled, dramatically increase the value. Off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, and other unusual minting mishaps also elevate the worth of this coin significantly. Collectors value these minting anomalies because they capture a unique story of how coins are made and how imperfections sometimes slip past the rigorous quality controls of the United States Mint. Each such coin becomes one of a kind, and when paired with a pristine condition and a strong demand among collectors, it can reach values beyond imagination. The condition of the coin is equally vital. Grading plays a crucial role in determining the worth of a 1978 penny. Coins that have been graded MS66, MS67 or higher by professional services such as PCGS or NGC are incredibly rare, and those are the specimens that collectors fiercely compete for at auctions. A common circulated penny from 1978 may be worth only a cent or a few cents more, but a mint state gem with vibrant red color can fetch hundreds, thousands, and in legendary examples with perfect preservation, unique errors, or impeccable provenance, the price has been known to soar into the millions. It is within these remarkable circumstances that the story of a 1978 Lincoln cent valued at $49.7 million emerges, because rarity, perfection, error, and demand converged into a single coin that collectors were willing to compete for at world record prices. The historical context of 1978 adds another layer of intrigue to this penny. The late 70s were a period of cultural, political, and economic shifts in America. The country was experiencing inflation challenges, the energy crisis, and ongoing changes in international relations. At the same time, popular culture was booming, with music, movies, and technology beginning to reshape everyday life. Through all of this, millions of Americans carried these Lincoln cents in their pockets, often unaware that among them were treasures waiting to be uncovered. And today, when collectors hold a 1978 penny, they are holding a piece of that era, a small but powerful connection to the everyday life of a nation during a transformative time. The fascination with the 1978 penny, valued at $49.7 million, is also tied to provenance. Provenance is the history of ownership of a coin. When a rare 1978 penny appears at auction with a traceable history through renowned collections or previous record-breaking sales, its value multiplies. Collectors treasure not only the coin, itself, but also the story of where it has been, who owned it, and how it survived across decades. In such remarkable condition, the story is what makes a piece of metal into a legacy. Investment value is another dimension of the 1978 penny story. Rare coins like this one are seen not only as collectibles but also as tangible investments. Unlike stocks or bonds, coins are physical objects that can be held, admired, and passed down through generations. Investors see the potential for appreciation and stability in rare coins, particularly those that have proven themselves in the auction market as record breakers. Thus, the 1978 penny, valued at tens of millions, is not just a collector's dream but also an asset that represents security, rarity, and prestige. Collectors and enthusiasts around the world often share stories of discovering rare pennies in pocket change or old collections. Imagine the thrill of finding a 1978 penny with an unusual error or in pristine condition tucked away in a drawer or coin jar, a coin that appears so ordinary on the surface but could be worth a fortune. This dream is what fuels the passion of numismatics. It is the very essence of coin collecting, the idea that treasure may lie in the smallest places, waiting for someone with a curious eye and a bit of knowledge to uncover it. The cultural impact of coins like the 1978 penny cannot be underestimated. News stories of valuable pennies worth millions have often gone viral, capturing the imagination of people worldwide and inspiring everyday individuals to take a closer look at their change jars and collections. It turns a humble penny into a symbol of possibility, a reminder that even the smallest objects can carry extraordinary stories and life-changing value, and the 1978 Lincoln cent embodies this cultural fascination perfectly. As we reflect on the story of the 1978 Liberty 1-cent penny, we realize it is more than money. It is history, art, era, technology, and human desire all woven together. It represents the legacy of Abraham Lincoln, who remains one of the most beloved figures in American history. It represents the craftsmanship of the mint, the imperfections that make perfection valuable, and the spirit of collectors who continue to search for meaning and treasure in the smallest of places. So when we speak of a 1978 penny worth $49.7 million, we are speaking of more than copper. We are speaking of legacy, rarity, provenance, and passion. We are speaking of the thrill of discovery and the human tendency to seek value and meaning in what others may overlook. We are speaking of a reminder that treasure does not always come in large chests of gold, but sometimes in the smallest coin resting quietly in the palm of your hand. The 1978 Lincoln penny is therefore not just a cent, it is a story of possibility. It is a bridge between history and modern fascination. It is a symbol of how the ordinary can become extraordinary, and it stands as one of the shining examples of why coin collecting is not just a hobby but a pursuit of history, culture, and dreams. So keep your eyes open, keep searching your coins, and remember that among the billions may lie the one that could change everything. And perhaps just like the legendary examples valued at $49.7 million, your 1978 penny could one day become a treasure beyond imagination. My dear friends, treasure seekers, coin lovers, history explorers, and curious minds who always believe that even the smallest piece of metal can carry the greatest weight of meaning, today we are going deep into one of the most fascinating coins ever produced by the United States Mint, the Liberty 1-cent Lincoln penny from the year 1981, a coin that many people saw as nothing more than ordinary pocket change, yet, in the eyes of collectors, historians, and investors, it has become a coin with an extraordinary reputation, and in very rare and special cases has been valued in the market at an unbelievable $46.5 million, turning an everyday cent into a treasure that could change a life forever. The Lincoln cent has been an icon of American coinage since 1909, when it was first introduced to honor the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse has always shown the enduring portrait of the 16th president with the inscriptions "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date, while the reverse in 1981 still carried Frank Gasparo's design of the Lincoln Memorial, which was first introduced in 1959 to replace the wheat cent design of the early years. This memorial reverse ran until 2008, meaning that the 1981 penny stands as part of the long memorial cent series before major changes came. In later decades, the composition of the 1981 penny is extremely important for collectors because it represents the very end of an era. Throughout most of its life, the Lincoln penny was struck in 95% copper, with the remaining 5% being zinc and tin, but by 1982 the United States Mint made the historic switch to a copper-plated zinc composition, which was lighter and cheaper. This means that the 1981 penny was one of the last full copper cents, weighing 3.1 grams, and this detail alone makes it especially interesting to collectors who cherish the quality, feel, and beauty of real copper coins. The Mintage numbers were enormous in 1981, with billions of pennies struck at the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints. Those from Philadelphia carry no mint mark, those from Denver bear a D, and those from San Francisco in proof sets carry the S mint mark. To the casual observer, these were just billions of ordinary coins, but in the world of numismatics, quantity never overshadows quality. It is the rare examples that rise to the surface and capture attention, and in the case of the 1981 penny, certain coins with special features, perfect preservation, and unique minting errors have been elevated to astronomical values that explain how one could become worth $46.5 million in the collector's market. The condition of the coin is one of the most critical factors. Circulated 1981 pennies that pass through countless hands in everyday transactions are usually worth only face value or a few cents more, but when a coin survives untouched in brilliant mint state condition, especially those with a fiery red luster designated as RD by grading services, its value increases dramatically. Coins graded MS66, MS67 or higher by organizations like PCGS and NGC are incredibly rare and highly prized among collectors. The fewer the survivors in such pristine quality, the greater the demand and the higher the value. Minting errors from 1981 are another fascinating aspect that can transform an ordinary penny into a treasure. Doubled die obverse or reverses, where inscriptions like Liberty or the date show clear doubling, are rare but highly desirable. Off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, repunched mint marks, and even transitional errors where a coin was accidentally struck on the wrong planchet are all the kinds of anomalies that collectors dream of, and when such an error is combined with perfect condition and rarity, the value of that single coin can skyrocket beyond imagination. It is through these circumstances that some 1981 pennies have reached market values in the millions, because they are not just coins, they are one-of-a-kind works of minting history. The San Francisco proof pennies of 1981 add another layer of fascination. Proofs are not meant for circulation but are struck with polished dies and planchets to produce mirror-like surfaces and sharp details. Two different types of proof coins were minted in 1981, known as Type 1 with a filled S mint mark and Type 2 with a clear, sharper South mint mark. Collectors place high value on these differences, and complete sets are sought after, with Type 2 being far scarcer and more valuable. These proof variations add depth and complexity to the story of the 1981 penny and remind us how small details can make a tremendous difference in the world of coin collecting. The historical context of 1981 is also significant. America was stepping into a new decade with Ronald Reagan entering the presidency, the economy facing challenges, inflation and interest rates creating financial struggles, and society undergoing cultural and technological shifts. Coins of this period are tied to those changes because they passed through the hands of ordinary Americans living through extraordinary times. When we hold a 1981 penny, we hold a small artifact of that era, a silent witness to the hopes and struggles of millions of people, and this connection to history adds to the emotional and cultural value of the coin beyond its metal content or face value. The story of a 1981 penny valued at $46.5 million may seem like legend, but it is built on very real factors: rarity, provenance, and the powerful demand among collectors. Provenance is the documented history of a coin. Coins with pedigrees linking them to famous collections or past record-breaking auctions are far more desirable than coins without such histories. Collectors are not just buying a coin, they are buying a story, an object that has passed through history and ownership in ways that make it unique and memorable. Investment is another side of the story of the 1981 penny. Rare coins are increasingly viewed as tangible assets that combine beauty, rarity, and long-term value. Unlike paper money or digital stocks, rare coins are physical objects that can be admired, displayed, and passed down through generations. Their value has proven resilient in times of economic change, making them attractive to investors who seek security as well as prestige. The 1981 penny in its rarest forms is not just a coin, it is a piece of art history. An investment combined. The excitement of finding a rare 1981 penny is something many collectors dream about. People have reported discovering rare pennies in old jars and inherited collections, or even in circulation, though much less common today than decades ago. The possibility that a coin worth millions could be hiding in plain sight continues to inspire the passion of numismatics. It is this dream that keeps the hobby alive and thriving, because every coin has a story and every collection holds the possibility of treasure. The cultural impact of stories about valuable pennies cannot be ignored. Headlines about pennies worth thousands, or even millions, often spread quickly, capturing the imagination of people worldwide and drawing attention to the hobby of coin collecting. When the public hears about a penny worth $46.5 million, it becomes a symbol of hope, fascination, and curiosity. It reminds people That small things can carry immense value and that hidden treasures may still be waiting to be discovered right in front of them. As we think deeply about the 1981 Liberty 1-cent Lincoln penny, we realize it is more than just currency. It is a reminder of Abraham Lincoln's legacy, his portrait keeping watch over generations of Americans. It is a reminder of the artistry and craftsmanship of the United States Mint. It is a reminder of how errors, imperfections, and chance can transform something ordinary into something extraordinary, and it is a reminder of the human desire to collect, preserve, and cherish pieces of history that connect us to the past. So when we speak of a 1981 penny worth $46.5 million, we are speaking of more than copper and metal. We are speaking of history, rarity, art, and legacy. We are speaking of passion, the thrill of discovery, and the magic of turning something small into something priceless. It is a story that proves treasure does not only lie in gold mines or deep oceans. Sometimes it lies in the palm of your hand, in the form of a humble Lincoln cent waiting to reveal its extraordinary secret. The 1981 Lincoln penny is therefore not just a cent, it is a symbol of possibility, a connection between the past and the present, a legacy that unites collectors, investors, and dreamers. It teaches us that even the smallest objects can tell the grandest stories and carry the greatest value. So always keep your eyes open, look closely at your coins, and remember that hidden among the ordinary could be the extraordinary waiting to change history and perhaps even your life forever. My great fellows and dear friends and seekers of knowledge, again welcome treasure hunters, collectors, and those who carry curiosity in their hearts, because today we embark on a journey that blends history, rarity, mystery, and value, all through the story of one of the most fascinating coins in American history, the Liberty 1-cent Lincoln penny of 1982, a coin that has grown to legendary status in the world of numismatics, and has become famous not only for its place in history but also for its incredible potential value, with some examples reaching a jaw-dropping market price of $45.2 million, making it one of the most astonishing stories of how a simple penny can transform into a priceless artifact. The 1982 Lincoln penny stands apart from many other years in U.S. mint history because it was a year of transition, a year of change, and those changes are what make this penny so fascinating to collectors around the globe. Until 1982, Lincoln cents had been struck primarily from 95% copper with 5% zinc and tin. This traditional alloy gave the coin its rich reddish tone, its weight of 3.1 grams, and its sense of permanence. However, rising copper prices in the late 70s and early 80s created a problem for the mint. The value of the copper in each cent was worth nearly, or in some moments more than, the penny's face value. Producing 1-cent coins was becoming unprofitable, and so in 1982 the mint made the decision to change the composition from copper to a copper-plated zinc alloy. The new coins weighed only 2.5 grams and carried a core of zinc plated with copper, which made them cheaper to produce. This historic change in 1982 created one of the most unique situations in coin collecting history, because in that single year both copper and zinc pennies were produced. As the mint worked through its transition, dies were also altered, meaning that multiple varieties exist for 1982 pennies. Collectors today recognize 7 official varieties, which include large date and small date designs from both Philadelphia and Denver, as well as the composition difference between copper and zinc. And this explosion of varieties makes the 1982 Lincoln cent one of the most studied and collected coins in U.S. history. The difference between small date and large date varieties rests in the style of the numerals in the date. For example, the number 2 in the small date is more delicate with a sharper curve, while in the large date it appears bolder and rounder. These subtle differences often require a keen eye to detect, but they are crucial because certain combinations of small date or large date with copper or zinc can be dramatically rarer than others. For collectors, these subtle differences transform a coin that billions may overlook into a prized possession worth far more than face value. Even more fascinating is the discovery of era coins from 1982, which are some of the most celebrated and valuable examples ever found. The most famous is the 1982 D small date copper penny, an era created when a Denver mint small date die was paired with the older copper planchets before the switch to zinc. This coin has achieved legendary status among collectors because it was not supposed to exist yet. Several examples were discovered, and their rarity makes them worth thousands, tens of thousands, and even hundreds of thousands of dollars, depending on condition. In fact, one of these 1982 D small date copper pennies has sold for an extraordinary amount at auction, sparking the imagination of collectors everywhere and fueling the belief that treasures may still be hiding in circulation today. The composition change also created situations where coins that were expected to be zinc were mistakenly struck on copper planchets, and these transitional errors are among the most valuable coins in the entire Lincoln Cent series. When authenticated by professional grading services, they can achieve astronomical prices at auction because they represent not only rarity but also the fascinating story of America's struggle with inflation and economics during that period. Grading and condition play another massive role in determining the value of a 1982 penny. While circulated examples are still worth a cent, or just slightly more pristine uncirculated coins with brilliant red luster can command far higher prices at auction. Professional coin grading services such as PCGS and NGC have certified 1982 Lincoln Cents in grades of MS67 or higher, and these gems have sold for thousands of dollars in major auctions. But when you combine a pristine mint state grade with a rare variety such as the small date copper or an unusual error, the price can skyrocket into the millions, and it is through these rare events that the legendary valuation of $45.2 million for a single example becomes possible, because collectors with immense resources are willing to pay record-breaking sums to own a piece of history so unique that no price tag can truly capture its importance. The 1982 penny is not only a coin but a historical marker. It represents a turning point in American coinage when the realities of economics forced a change that collectors would later celebrate as one of the richest sources of varieties and rarities in the modern era. It is a reminder that even the smallest coin can tell a story of a nation's challenges, decisions, and craftsmanship, and that within these stories lies tremendous value, both monetary and cultural. The legend of the 1982 Lincoln penny, valued at $45.2 million, continues to inspire everyday people to search their pocket change, coin jars, and inherited collections. Countless stories circulate of individuals who discovered rare pennies hiding in plain sight and suddenly realized they were holding a treasure. This excitement has spread across the world and has fueled a growing interest in numismatics, the study and collecting of coins, because the idea that a single penny could change someone's life resonates deeply with our sense of curiosity and hope. The artistry of the Lincoln Cent also deserves attention. The obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner over 70 years earlier, still carried the strong and noble portrait of Abraham Lincoln with the words "Liberty in God We Trust," and the date proudly displayed. The reverse design, created by Frank Gasparo, showcased the Lincoln Memorial with its classical pillars and hidden within them the statue of Lincoln visible under magnification. This artistry combined with history makes the coin a masterpiece not only of monetary function but of cultural symbolism. Collectors often emphasize provenance when discussing coins like the 1982 penny. The history of ownership, where it has been, who discovered it, how it was preserved, all add to the story and the value. Coins with famous provenance, or those tied to legendary collections, often command much higher prices than identical coins without such history, because a numismatic story is as important as metal and rarity. Investment potential is another reason the 1982 penny captivates so many investors. See rare coins as safe havens of value, assets that not only appreciate over time but also provide tangible beauty and cultural meaning. Unlike digital investments, a coin can be held, admired, studied, and displayed, and for families these coins become heirlooms passed down through generations, building legacies that far outlive the original owner. The 1982 penny in particular, with its many varieties, errors, and stories, is seen as a cornerstone for collectors and investors alike. The cultural fascination with valuable pennies has grown immensely as media stories of record-breaking auctions continue to capture the world's imagination. Headlines about pennies worth millions inspire people from all walks of life to search through their change, hoping to stumble upon hidden treasure, and in many ways this fascination has elevated the 1982 penny to near mythical status because it combines the everyday with the extraordinary. The common coin in your hand could turn out to be the rare treasure that rewrites your destiny. So when we talk about the Liberty 1-cent Lincoln penny from 1982, we are talking about far more than a piece of copper or zinc. We are talking about the story of a nation, the challenges of economics, the artistry of minting, the thrill of discovery, and the passion of collectors who dedicate their lives to studying, preserving, and celebrating these treasures. The $45.2 million valuation is not just a price tag, it is a testament to how much meaning can be found in the smallest of objects, and how value is created through history, rarity. And Desiree, as you hold a penny in your hand, remember that it may not just be a cent, it may be a story, it may be a piece of history, it may be a hidden treasure that carries the weight of generations and the thrill of discovery. The 1982 Lincoln penny embodies all of this and more. It shows us that even the most ordinary things can hold extraordinary secrets, and it inspires us to look closer, pay attention, and never underestimate the power of history in the palm of our hand. The 1982 Liberty 1-cent Lincoln penny is not just money, it is memory, it is history, it is a masterpiece of error and variety, it is a reminder that even the smallest objects can carry immense worth, and it will forever remain one of the most fascinating and valuable coins in the world. So keep searching your coins, keep studying the details, and never forget that the treasure of a lifetime may just be waiting in your pocket change. My dear collectors, treasure seekers, and lovers of history, now I invite you into the fascinating world of one of the most mysterious, most intriguing, and most sought-after coins in United States history, the Liberty 1-cent Lincoln penny from the year 1982 with the Denver Mint mark. This little coin, which at first glance looks like any ordinary cent, has turned into a legend among collectors and numismatists around the world because hidden within this year lies a story of transition, rarity, mystery, an astronomical value that has made the 1982 Lincoln penny one of the most exciting coins you could ever hope to learn about, and in some cases hold in your hands today. We are going to journey together through its history, design details, minting secrets, errors, and of course the unbelievable values it has achieved in the marketplace, with rare examples reaching into the tens of millions of dollars with one specimen, connected to a story of record-breaking sales and breathtaking demand, carrying a market value of $43 million. The story of the 1982 Lincoln penny begins with a massive change in United States coinage that year, because 1982 was the year the mint decided to change the composition of the penny. For decades prior to 1982, the Lincoln cent had been made of mostly copper, 95% copper with a small percentage of zinc and tin, giving it a weight of 3.1 grams. Copper was the traditional and beloved metal for the penny, and collectors today value those earlier coppers for their luster, durability, and the way they aged with rich colors. But by 1982, rising copper prices made it so that the metal in a single penny was worth more than 1 cent. This economic reality forced the U.S. Mint to redesign the cent, switching to a much cheaper composition of copper-plated zinc with a total weight of 2.5 grams. The transition happened during 1982, and as a result, both copper cents and zinc cents were minted in the same year, making 1982 one of the most complex and fascinating years for Lincoln pennies. But that is not all, because not only were there two different metal compositions, but also multiple varieties created from the Denver Mint and the Philadelphia Mint. Coins struck in both large date and small date formats. This means that 1982 produced 7 major varieties, and collectors spent countless hours searching for them. Among those varieties, the 1982 copper small date penny is the most legendary because for decades it was not believed to exist. The Denver Mint was thought to have produced only zinc cents in 1982, yet one copper small date penny surfaced, verified as genuine, and instantly became one of the most valuable and famous modern rarities ever discovered. This single coin alone turned the 1982 penny into a household name among coin enthusiasts because of the possibility of rare survivors from that transitional year. Now let us look closely at the design of the 1982 penny, which has been admired for generations. On the obverse or front of the coin is the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, created by Victor David Brenner, first introduced in 1909. This design has remained on the cent ever since, making it the longest-running coin design in American history. The inscriptions include "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the year of issue 1982, along with the mint mark D for Denver. On the reverse we see the Lincoln Memorial, designed by Frank Gasparo, which replaced the earlier wheat cent reverse in 1959. This design remained until 2008, when it was retired in favor of the shield cent. When viewed under magnification, the Lincoln Memorial reverse is special because if you look carefully you can actually see a tiny statue of Lincoln seated inside the memorial, a detail that excites collectors and shows the artistry that goes into coin design. The Denver Mint in 1982 produced billions of pennies, but what makes the 1982 penny so valuable in certain cases is not how many were minted, but the few that stand apart because of composition, rarity, condition, or error. As mentioned earlier, the existence of copper small date Denver coins is one of the greatest modern discoveries, and any coin collector will tell you that it is like finding a diamond among stones. Beyond composition and date size, collectors also look for coins in the highest states of preservation. Grading plays a crucial role in the value of a 1982 penny. While a circulated zinc penny from this year may only be worth a cent or two, a perfectly preserved copper penny in mint state red with a grade of MS 67 or higher can be worth thousands, and when combined with rarity and provenance, the value has skyrocketed to the unbelievable $43 million level. Errors are another crucial factor that add to the allure of the 1982 penny. Double die obverse coins where the inscriptions Liberty or In God We Trust show doubling our highly prized off-center strikes. Broad strikes and clipped planchets are also valuable. Every error tells a story about the minting process, and turns the coin into a one-of-a-kind treasure for collectors. The 1982 transitional errors where the wrong planchet was used for striking are especially valuable because they represent a direct connection to the year's shift from copper to zinc. Transitional errors and rare varieties from 1982 are considered some of the most important discoveries in numismatic history. The condition of the coin makes a world of difference. Common circulated 1982 D pennies will always be worth face value, but if you find one in brilliant uncirculated condition with vibrant red luster untouched by time, you could be holding a treasure. Coins graded by professional services such as PCGS or NGC carry more value because they provide assurance to collectors about authenticity and grade. And when we speak of coins selling for millions at auction, these are usually coins that have been professionally graded and certified to be among the finest known examples. The provenance of rare 1982 D pennies has also added to their extraordinary value. The story of who owned a coin, where it was discovered, and how it passed through the market is almost as important as the coin itself. Collectors are fascinated not only by the physical rarity, but also by the human story tied to the coin. When the $43 million value is discussed, it represents not just the coin's physical rarity, but also the competition among elite collectors who desired to add it to their collections, driving its price higher and higher in the auction room until it reached record-breaking levels. To understand why the 1982 D penny is so fascinating, we must also reflect on the cultural and historical context of 1982 in America. The early 80s were a period of technological change, economic uncertainty, and cultural vibrancy. Coins from this time are not only pieces of currency but also time capsules that reflect the spirit of their era. Every person who carried a 1982 penny, whether buying a newspaper, candy, or coffee, was participating in the story of this coin. And today, when collectors examine these pennies, they are also holding a small connection to the people and events of that moment in history. The investment side of rare pennies like the 1982 D cannot be ignored. Rare coins have long been viewed as stable investments because of their rarity and demand. Unlike paper assets, rare coins are tangible pieces of history that can be held, admired, and passed down from generation to generation. The 1982 D penny has proven itself to be not just a collector's piece but also an asset that represents rarity, security, and long-term value. Investors are willing to pay record-breaking sums because they see not only the beauty and history but also the financial strength of owning such an irreplaceable treasure. Collectors today are constantly searching their change jars, coin rolls, and old collections for 1982 pennies with the hope of finding one of the rare varieties. The dream of discovering a coin worth millions fuels the passion of the numismatic community. Stories abound of lucky finds, coins that seemed ordinary at first but turned out to be life-changing treasures. It is this thrill of discovery that keeps the story of the 1982 D penny alive in popular culture. News stories about rare pennies being worth fortunes often go viral and inspire even non-collectors to look at their change with new curiosity. So when we speak of the Liberty 1 cent 1982 D Lincoln penny worth $43 million, we are speaking of much more than a simple coin. We are speaking of a story of transition from copper to zinc, of varieties and errors, of rarity and perfection. We are speaking of auctions where millionaires competed to own a piece of numismatic legend. We are speaking of history, culture, economics, and human curiosity, all wrapped into a tiny piece of copper or zinc only 19 millimeters in diameter. The lesson of the 1982 D penny is that even the smallest, most overlooked objects can hold stories of immense value, meaning, and history. It reminds us that treasure is not always gold bars or jewels. Sometimes it is a penny resting quietly in your hand that turns out to be a fortune in disguise. The 1982 D penny shows us how the ordinary becomes extraordinary, how history and rarity can combine to turn 1 cent into millions, and how collectors across the world continue to search with passion, hope, and excitement for their own discoveries. So, my friends, as we finish this journey into the fascinating story of the Liberty 1 cent 1982 D Lincoln penny, remember that coins are not just money, they are time machines, storytellers, and treasures. Keep your eyes open, your mind curious, and your heart excited, because you never know when the next legendary coin like the 1982 D penny might appear in your very own pocket change. And perhaps just like the incredible examples valued at $43 million, your penny might one day be the treasure that changes everything.